Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We're going to look at Bitcoin, BCH, which is seeing some action, ETH, XRP, LTC, ZRX, all the names that are listed on Coinbase here. Going to do some altcoins over the weekend. If you want to comment on altcoins, I'll tally up who is the most requested. So what we're looking at, all I care about in the cryptocurrency space right now in terms of time frames are the daily and the weekly charts, because the downtrend is so prolonged on the weekly chart. And because the daily chart has been in control of the bears for so long, at least the last 3 weeks very clearly, I'm just waiting patiently for something to change on the daily chart for me to get interested. So we've had a nice bounce. We've had bulls in control of the hourly and the 4-hour charts. We can see a nice clear uptrend on this 4-hour chart where we established our higher low. And when we had last left off, we were looking at the support level. We did see continuation, another higher low, but now we have an equilibrium forming. So what I'm looking for is I look at this daily chart and I say, all right, we're still in a downtrend. We're still forming lower highs. A 4-day bounce is still likely to just form lower highs. And I will be confident that our 4-hour lower, or I should say that our daily lower high has been set when the 4-hour uptrend is lost. So if we come down now and break 63.33, the daily chart is going to have a bearish reversal candlestick, and we'll be looking to pull back. And the hope for the bulls is to form a higher low compared to 62.01, our bottom, and then break the downtrend. That way, the bulls don't have to see multiple days in a row of upside and exhaust themselves. They'll have a higher low. They'll have less distance to cover to get that bull break. That's the current setup that I envision if the bulls are going to get a break. So we have an hourly equilibrium forming as that 4-hour chart we could see was tightening up. The bulls are going to try and hold that 63.34 level, and anything under 63.72 is just a lower high on the hourly. So tightening hourly range to be watching on Bitcoin. Pretty solid bear volume the last 3 hours. And again, the 4-hour time frame, we're watching this trend and watching to see if we're going to lose this uptrend or if the bulls can keep the 4-hour higher lows. So that's what we're watching for Bitcoin heading into tomorrow. We've got BCH running on news that Binance is going to support their fork. So people wanting to get in before that fork because they're saying, hey, maybe that's going to actually be worth something. So we have a bull move up to resistance 47, make that 476.87. It's a lower high compared to that, but the bulls are still in control at this point. So we're taking out a lot of resistance levels. It's definitely catching our attention. The weekly time frame, 407.65 was support. We broke that support level, but only by about $1.50. That's very insignificant. It's about 0.25% or so. So if the bulls want to change anything longer term, we're looking up at 591.88 as the last weekly lower high. So that's $130 away. That is significant. That's 25% from where we stand currently. So we aren't changing the weekly trend anytime soon, but the daily chart certainly has our attention with this move today. So the bull move on the 4-hour time frame, huge shot up out of nowhere with that volume. As soon as that was announced, we had an equilibrium that had a break here. And if we look at the hourly time frame, it's actually not going to show up well, but we consolidated and we established that base of support. And then we set a lower high, we consolidated a little bit more, and then of course that big bull move. So the 15-minute time frame gave us a nice tight pattern to be watching. We had the top of the resistance, we pulled back, established a support level, and then we traded within that for hours. And we broke resistances a couple times. We had an equilibrium that broke bullish by a couple dollars or even just 60 cents with no follow through, but we never lost the higher low on the 15-minute time frame. Support was 449.15, higher low at 450.95, 451.50, 453.53. You get the idea. It's just stair stepping its way up before that volume spike and clear bull break. Look at the back test of support right now. Previous resistance trying to act as support and keep that 15-minute higher low pattern going. So the first indication that hourly consolidation is coming will be a loss of the 15-minute uptrend, but it's held the entire bull move at this point. So the bulls short term are still comfortable, and there could still be further upside in this move. The 4-hour time frame is absolutely overextended. The RSI is up around 80, so I would not be surprised to lose that 15-minute uptrend sooner rather than later. And again, the next key resistance, if we do see any continuation, it's all about 476.87, and there's a lack of resistance after that level. So BCH clearly the strongest name short term that we're going to be looking at due to that catalyst. ETH still a lower high on the daily, so it's the same setup as Bitcoin. The 4-hour uptrend, we formed a higher low at 199.66. As long as the bulls can hold that level, we're not looking at our daily top being set yet as we test these exponential resistances, which have been driving the price down, specifically the 12-period exponential on the daily chart. But we look at that 4-hour chart, the higher low is very clearly still intact. And once that's lost, then we say, all right, daily consolidation is coming. So we're watching the 4-hour time frame on ETH as well. After resistance of 204.29, next level we're looking at is 205.77. That's when the bulls start to prove themselves if we start taking out resistance levels from that 2-week tight period that we were in. And again, for Bitcoin, those levels on that 2-week tight period, we're looking up in the low to mid 6,400s. So still a bit of a ways to go, about $100. XRP, same story. We're looking at resistance levels on the daily chart up in the 468, 47 range. And we did get up to 4679. So we pretty much tested that resistance and are currently pulling back. But it's the same thing with the 4-hour uptrend. As long as it holds, we're not consolidating on the daily yet. Support is 459. So 459 is the short-term level to be watching overnight. And if the bulls do see continuation over 469, we're looking at 4707 and 47288. So bulls making a move, but ideally we get that little brief consolidation for a daily higher low and then a bull break. And we want to start clearing out these resistances from that 2-week type period all at once. And that will be very convincing if the bulls can get that kind of follow through. LTC on the daily chart, very similar to everybody else that we have been looking at aside from BCH. The 4-hour uptrend is what we're watching to keep the bulls in full control. We just had multiple inside bars that broke bullish. That was a nice little signal. Inside bar break was 50.59. Got up to 51.66, so a 2% move on that signal, and support is down at 50.30 to keep the uptrend intact. Resistance after this move of 51.66, we are looking up at 52.38 as the next important level. Again, very clear lower highs on the daily time frame. Exponential resistance trying to break for the first time in a while. So definitely worth paying attention to these bulls. The question right now is 2 scenarios into the weekend. We either lose the 4-hour uptrend and see daily consolidation looking for a higher low, or we keep the 4-hour uptrend and the bulls keep their strength and go to test those daily resistances from the first levels back from that 2-week sideways trading range. So it is worth paying attention to the bulls into the end of this weekend and just checking in on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. This candlestick is going to close in a couple days. We have a bit of a lower wick on this candlestick. And again, key levels for me to start changing this trend and breaking the lower highs, 68.23 is the key level that I want to see the bulls break. ZRX USD, worth noting here as well. So we have broken the lower highs. Our last resistance was up at 8.2, and we've broken that level on increasing bull volume. So the 4-hour uptrend is intact here as well. It's a bit tricky because it's trading 1 penny at a time, and definitely want to compare to other exchanges just because we are fairly new on Coinbase. So we look here at Bitfinex. Haven't established a 4-hour support level anytime recently. The bulls have been in significant control here, but you can see the shift in momentum, a clear 4-hour downtrend, and we're now breaking resistance levels. So we will look for some healthy consolidation on the 4-hour when we do begin to pull back here. But it's worth watching ZRX from here, because what ZRX is looking to do is change this weekly trend, and we need a higher low and then continuation to do it. So I'm going to start paying attention a lot more to ZRX. Need some 4-hour healthy consolidation and keeping an eye on the potential for a brief weekly bull flag and then trying to make their way back up to 108. And that was our recent high a couple weeks ago. And just want to compare again to Coinbase to see how much data we do have. And we don't have enough. So definitely want to use Bitfinex or a different exchange at this point. Even if you are trading on Coinbase, we do need a couple more weeks of data before we have clear charts. So that's where we stand as we head into overnight. Not a whole lot changing in terms of what we were looking at yesterday. Hourly and 4-hour uptrend and control of the bulls. They're still holding on to that control at this point and keeping an eye out on names like GBTC. Went blank there for a minute. So the daily chart's still in a downtrend here as well. We're going to be watching for the daily trend change on this instrument, and this is the only real way to be playing Bitcoin from the stock market world. But premium has been eroding significantly over the last couple of weeks, and that's because demand for Bitcoin seemingly hasn't been high as we've been trading sideways. So that premium got really low, and we're now going to be watching for a daily trend change to indicate a good time to enter a longer term position, because you look at this chart and it's obviously just been a significant downtrend for a long time. If we get a clear trend change on the weekly time frame in Bitcoin, rather than me move funds around, I've said this in the past, I would likely day trade if the volatility is there enough. I would day trade GBTC and I would keep a swing position in cryptocurrency in the actual coins themselves. So that's a potential strategy that I'm looking into as we do head into a potential bullish environment sometime in 2019. I'm not going to try and say when, but all I know is when this weekly trend changes, I am going to be all over it bullish, looking midterm in terms of a couple months at least. So I appreciate you watching. We'll stay on top of it. Bulls have some decent little short-term control. We'll see if they can keep that up over the weekend. Comment on the altcoins you'd like to see covered in the upcoming video this weekend. Hope you're well. We'll see you soon. Do a good thing or two.